All right, so if you go to your book, somebody let me see your book, Janessa. If you go to your book, and not your laptop, but your book, and go to the Define tab, and go to page, well, they're not page numbers, slide 11. All right, slide 11 on the Define tab. All right, so there's not a lot of difference in the Define tab section from DMADV and Design for Six Sigma. Both, you know, if you were in a formal Lean Six Sigma company, both would have you do a charter and, you know, get everything teed off and get permission to move forward. I would say the major difference is it is okay to say that you're making something, all right? So 2 projects I've done, one for Johnson & Johnson where we had no way to track Lean Six Sigma projects. And J&J wanted us to put our Lean Six Sigma project information into something they called the Worldwide Reporting System. And we kind of revolted because it just didn't fit. You know, whenever executives ask me, but you know, some companies like to do project management. Whose company in here is real project management focused? Anybody? Yeah, so they'll ask for a Gantt chart for Lean Six Sigma, and I'll go, I can only think of 3 things. Identify the problem, find the root cause, fix it. And I can't even tell you how long it's going to take because every crime scene is different, okay? So, but you know, they try to make it formal and all that stuff. So the Define tab, it's okay to be making something, buying something, building it. And so the projects didn't fit, so we got permission, or I got permission to lead a project for J&J to develop a tracking system specifically for Lean Six Sigma projects. The second example I'll use throughout the week is I also helped redesign, or well, we began to redesign the ticketing system for the Atlanta Hawks. So Ticketmaster was not providing some of the analytical information that they wanted so that they could drive season ticket sales. You know, so they might say something silly like, tell us the number of blondes with poodles that bought tickets. And Ticketmaster would go, well, you know, maybe if we get around to it. So the Atlanta Hawks wanted to go ahead and venture out and start their own system. So those will be 2 examples I'll use. But here's what we're going to do in the next exercise, all right? So we're going to do a lot of exercises this week. You are going to get in your groups. You're going to go back to the Post-it notes, and you're going to brainstorm a service idea, Keep it simple, because we're actually going to take that all the way through Design for Six Sigma. Do not do a product, so don't create an app because you're going to get down here and need to know how to write code. You see what I'm saying? I had a team, I learned my lesson here by saying service. A team one year said they were going to do an ethanol engine. That was good until they got here and had to design an ethanol engine. So just keep it a simple service like, you know, I've seen dog poop picking up, mobile oil change. You know, just, one team came up one year, I guess they grew up in the country like I did. I grew up so far in the country we didn't have a library, but once a week a big RV would come and it was called the Bookmobile. And you'd go in there and you'd sign out a book and you'd turn in last week's book. And a lot of people went just because it's the only thing in town with air conditioning. So they decided that country folks also needed access to massage and beauty salons and things like that, so they created a mobile spa. So, you know, that was pretty cool. So keep it simple. And then you're going to do the tool that I'm about to teach you. So I want you to put the Post-it notes up. I want you to just have fun, just brainstorm, vote, and pick one. And then I want you to take it through the multi-generational plan. So the unique tool in this phase is called the multi-generational plan. Some say its origins come out of NASA. Gen 3 is your wild ideas and your vision for the future. So the argument there would be that John F. Kennedy gave them the wild idea of put a man on the moon by the end of the decade, right? So that's your Gen 3. So, you know, I had my young undergrad students do this, and this might be, you know, you're 40, this might be your 30, this is your 20s. So the point is, if you want to be 40 and have 2 kids, right? Well, women's optimal time to have children is around 25 to 26. So you got to pull that up into Gen 1. right? Which might affect some of the career choices that you make, or might affect some of the degrees that you pursue. Or you could say, no, I'm going to do like the famous Hollywood actresses and I'll just adopt one, right? Or you can do in vitro, which means you better be saving money along the path, right? Because you're going to need it because it's not cheap. And that's the whole point of, I love multi-generational planning in the sense that you design today. So we're going to design Gen 1. You design today for your vision of the future, okay? And I've seen some folks, you know, Gen 1, Gen 3, I want to be rich. And they buy tickets to the VIP section of the Atlanta Hawks basketball game. I watch it every time. I'm like, hey, it's smart. You know, perfect. All right, so Gen 3, if we look at the Nassau example, what do you have to do? You have to fake land on the moon and fake drive around. Right? I don't really believe we landed on the moon. I like the James Bond Goldfinger movie where James Bond's running through a Hollywood studio and he crashes the moon landing. They're like, so we've got to land and drive around, okay? Which means, what do we have to do in Gen 2? Gen 2, we had to orbit the moon. Which means in Gen 1, what do you have to do? Got to get to space. Get to space. And a key point, get back. Right? And again, it's silly, but designed today for your vision for the future. We did not send a fish. We didn't send a fish in a tank of water and it came back and, okay, the fish survived. We sent a monkey, right? We sent a monkey because a monkey shares our same need to breathe oxygen, and that had to be one messy spacecraft when that monkey got back. That would be, but the monkey got back. There's still a, I think if there are aliens, it'll be they'll be dog. They'll have dog parts. Anybody know why? The Russians sent a dog into space, but he never returned. He continued on. So somewhere out there, some brilliant system found the dog, and that thing's coming back for Russia. Oh, I got this. All right, so that's basically the point. But the point is, you know, I'm not an expert on that, but all of the missions were done with the Apollo spacecraft. So they didn't get all the way to here and then say, okay, now we got to start all over with a whole different spaceship. And oh, by the way, if you know you're going to drive and land, while you're doing this, another Design for Six Sigma team can be designing the landing craft. See? You can say, all right, guys, I'm going to give you this much space, and that would be their design constraints and requirements. All right? So, here we go. Let's try our exercise. So this is the multi-generational plan. So we're brainstorming, blah, 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 and my team decides, you know what, we like this idea, Lee. We are going to design a hamburger business for Georgia Tech. You know, we walk down this sidewalk all the time, and there's no really good place to get a nice hamburger. All right? So you can bounce around, by the way. So I'm going to go to Gen 1, hamburger business. It's Georgia Tech. We're just going to do lunch and dinner. It's who, what, where, when, why, how much, just anything you can think of. It's just going to be me and staff. And we're going to do this for 0 to 24 months. And then you might jump over here. Man, this is where you say, wouldn't it be cool? Oh, man, it'd be so awesome if we were like a national franchise. Right? Give me some other ideas. You're on my team. And just, wow, you know, we started with a little hamburger business, but now we're what? Well, but tell me more. I mean, we have franchises. Well, how about all Division I schools? Oh, okay, and you might not be in all countries, but we enter our first country other than U.S. And then you could go, oh, well, you know what? If we're going to be all Division I schools, why don't we be in all ACC and SEC schools in Gen 2, right? What else? This we would have to have a corporate headquarters, right? If we're going to be franchising it out, right? So then Gen 2, we have what? Maybe get our first franchise going. It's me plus an executive team. Down here, I'm retired. And we have a CEO running the business for us. Anything else you want to tell me just somewhere? This would be what? What do you think? This is 2 to 5 years? Greater than 5? Well, this is 0 to 2, 2 to 5, plus 5 years. Anything else? You're on my team. Help me out. Definitely have a room full of engineers. Just make what you tell us to, Lee.
Got a cow farm.
We've got our cow farm. Ooh, Gen 3. We source our own beef.
You serve breakfast?
All right, we add breakfast.
Farm to table savings.
Chicken.
Add chicken.
Going organic. Grass fed.
So you can
Yeah.
charge more.
There you go. You're just, now here's the key. You're going to, the rest of the week, we're designing Gen 1. But what happens is you might find that there's a ranch out there in Texas right now that will, quote unquote, on paper say that they provide your beef. So we can go ahead and start that thing going, you see. But you never know to think about it if you don't sort of brainstorm it. Like when we did the ticketing system, now you gotta understand, this was 2004. We were doing this for the Atlanta Hawks, and we were like, Gen 3, oh man, wouldn't it be crazy if you could like buy the tickets on your phone? What? And then someone else like, oh, and the barcode was on your, but remember the phone was flipped. Honey? Yeah, Motorola came out with a walkie-talkie phone. All you saw were husbands walking around the mall. What? I'm at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm in the food court. Anybody remember those phones and that irritating? All right, but what was cool about that is when the vendors came in and presented their solution, which was simply a ticketing system for the Hawks only, and Phillips Arena, some of them said, they looked at us like we were nuts. You can buy tickets on the phone today in Europe. We're like, you can? It's fascinating. Europe's always behind us when we roll out technology, and then for some reason they just leapfrog us. Took them forever to get Wi-Fi. And like even now, I believe in Europe, there are stores where you just load up your shopping cart, walk out the door, because it can tell the weight of the cart as it leaves and ring you up. We're just now getting that in the U.S. and only with Amazon. So, design today for your vision of the future. So that's the multi-generational plan, right? So what y'all are going to do is you're going to create a multi-generational plan for your solution. For your idea. And then I want you to highlight a project plan task that's going to be different today because of what you just did. So I'll give you an example. I call this, now this is my unique touch. I call this the multi-generational project plan. Meaning, and by the way, project management does work fairly nicely for design for Six Sigma, because you're having a team and you got some, we know we have to go out and do surveys, focus groups. But this is Gen 1. But I see that I want to be a national franchise. So now I have a task that I was not aware of before I did this. I really ought to sit down with a lawyer and figure out what type of corporate structure is best for franchising. Why waste the money now to be an S-Corp only to find out 3 years from now that you would have been better served to be an LLC? I've switched a company before. It's not that expensive, but your website is .inc and it's just, and I didn't even think about it. I'll give you one more. And this is where I tend to show, actually, you know what? I will show it. For those of you watching, I'm going to show McDowell's from Coming to America. As an example of you can get away with a lot in Gen 1, but not so much with a franchise.